Like these WrestleTalk guys can suck my.
Oh, dude. Yeah, I'd be talking about them and I got heat on my show, guys. Sorry because I was like, Adam Blampied's still a creep. And everyone's like, oh, Phil, this is a rare L. You didn't research it or anything. Guys, listen. If you have multiple videos, if you haven't explained some creep, I don't know. You can't fault me for assuming. And yeah, my bad. I didn't look into it. I guess someone's falsely accusing him of something this time. I don't know. My bad, I guess. But yeah, WrestleTalk and them, I don't know. They love AEW. You can just tell. They hate big bad WWE. AEW's God, and it makes me wonder too. Like, man, they line up to hang out with Meltzer when Meltzer's in town. He rolls up, he's doing podcasts with WrestleTalk, and it's like, okay, are you guys shooting the? Or are you all reporting news here? Like, what's going on?
That guy Adam Blampied, as far as I'm concerned, you don't get over that stuff. Like those, I don't know what we can say on YouTube here, but that's the level of creepiness that I don't think you can be forgiven for. Like leave the teens alone.
Oh, is that what it is? See, I don't look into it enough. I'm not like all about. I just see it. He shaved his head the last time. It was funny that his video was. I just thought it was funny. His video was titled "Why I Left YouTube 2024." Like he had to fake the times he left YouTube. It's like, bro, if you got to do that, maybe just take a break. Maybe don't DM girls, anymore if you can't. I don't know. I don't know what his deal is. But sorry, guys, I got it wrong. I'm sorry. My bad. I'll look into it. But yeah, so here's Dynamite's house. I don't know, for a Dynamite, this actually looks pretty good. No, it's sad that's what we're saying, but yeah, at least this half is full this time. Their last show, this half, the other half was even not full, but yeah, man, it's upsetting. Tony would save money too. That's why I'm curious about if he is reinvesting. It's his family reinvesting into the company, because it's like, do you think his dad would go, okay, but Tony, you got to run smaller houses? Or do you think his dad let him walk into that NFL room with the neck brace and the chart looking like an idiot? So yeah, I don't know, actually. Now I'm second guessing my thought there. But yeah, it just seems to me like you just at some point, who goes, let's stop wasting money, Husey? That's what I'm getting at. In your mind, when does that point happen where someone goes, okay, we got to at least run smaller buildings and move it to YouTube or something? Like, what,
Well, not to get political, but I think that if a certain woman wins the election, and by that I mean Trump, but I think that if Kamala Harris wins this election, she's going to tax the out of the rich.
Yeah.
And I think she's going to hit the cons with a tax bill that they haven't ever experienced. So not that it's going to make them go bankrupt, because they're still going to be multi-billionaires, but I think that's when they're going to realize, oh, like we need to have some type of vast income, at least. I mean, and to be honest, like looking at this, just say they only lost $400,000. That's like piss to Shad Khan,
right? Yeah.
So he would see that and probably not give it. Like when he made his big debut, there was 2,000 people in that stadium, and he kept it going. And this thing, oh, but Dad, it's a downtime, Father. The total number for the deal that's been leaked, it would be 680 million a year if you add up, the 170. Yeah. I wouldn't be shocked if at least 500 of that was put in by them, because and I mean, it has been like Vince McMahon in the 90s, in the mid 90s, put of his own money into WWE because they were not making any profit at all. Yeah. Thanks, Brett.
And Diesel. No.
Yeah.
And that's a great point you raised, because you got to spend money to make money, baby. And yeah, WBD's, I could see them owning a chunk of it. That could be why they're allowing them to around and go shop their TV around, because then if they go and get a big sum of money from like Fox, let's say, or even like a little sum of money, they can be like, yeah, peel us off a little off the top of that, Like, that's cool with us. Go put this Shockwave show, but you're getting rid of this Rampage, I could totally see that happening. But and then things like this being on TV. So I'm sure, Husey, you saw online the hypodermic needle, cinder block, what did they all do in that match? They had like 8 spots that were like, okay, this could be the finish. No, this should be the finish. They went like table, cinder block, stab through the face with a needle, and then it like a pin or whatever. So what do you eat? Mercedes came out and was like, I don't like these violent matches. All the sickos are coming out saying, if you don't like violence, don't watch wrestling. Like, go watch WWE where they're fighting over bracelets. Booker T's here. He gives this long comment, but I want your thoughts. Like, what did you make of all this when you saw this? Are you shocked? Do you care? Does it trigger you?
Well, my whole thing is, and this is again showing my age, but I remember watching King of the Ring '98 live, and when Foley went off the cell and then through the cell, at the time you're like, holy, I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah.
And ever since then, no stunt has ever been able to top that type of effect. So it just seems to me that with AEW, they keep doing these crazy stunts like this, but it's not working. Like, at least when Mick Foley did that, as dangerous as it was, that got everybody talking, and it got everybody thinking, I've got to check out this Mankind guy. I've got to tune in to WWE, see what's going on. None of these crazy bumps or like the drinking of the blood or the needles or the whatever is helping AEW. It's weird. It's like if you went to an Indian restaurant and you got this every time you ordered their food. It's like, stop going there. It's like, no, give it time. You're like, oh. And so that's why, like, with this needle stuff, like what's next? Do we put a branch inside somebody's dick? Me, please.
Yeah.
But I just think it's stupid. It's time to move on.
Yeah, we're gonna get to like the something up someone's ass like Kenny Omega was doing in Japan stage soon with AEW. We're gonna like you ever see that clip of like I think Marco Stunt getting like he takes that stomp move with his mouth open on that dildo. Like, we're gonna get something close to that where a finger goes in an ass or something, Ricochet style. Callback. On AEW soon though, and I'm not kidding about that. We're gonna see them do like, when David Blaine shoves the little metal thing through his arm and he's like, oh look, it's a magic trick, but really he's just stabbing himself through the arm. Someone's gonna figure out how to do that and do it on Dynamite. Darby Allin's gonna like do like one of those hook things where he gets hung by his skin from above the ring or something. That's gonna happen sometime in AEW. Like, you can only go further and further down this rabbit hole of craziness. And like, what was the point of stabbing the needle in his mouth? I don't get it. And Stevie Richards said, he's like, why would you take his grill out first? For like safety? Like, aren't you trying to hurt this guy? Like, none of it even made sense to me. So
yeah, and then it's like, okay, so you're gonna stab him in the mouth with a needle and then follow it up with a worked punch. It's like, oh, this must be real.
It's ridiculous, man.
Speaking of which, there's something else I remembered to bring up. Do you remember, like 4 years ago or maybe 3, WWE did this awful match? It was Damian Priest and The Miz, and then Army of the Dead zombies came out.
Yep.
And when I was reading, I was told WWE get 1.5 million for that sponsorship spot. And do you remember AEW did this really Texas Chainsaw Massacre match?
Yep. Where Tony was the Leatherface dude, coke out of his mind, swinging the chainsaw around.
They only got $100,000 for that.
Oh,
so
brutal.
Yeah, so I've no idea how much money Warner are actually making from AEW ad rates, because like, obviously I would love $100,000, but in the TV world, that's nothing.
AEW spends their WBD money on the overrun. Anyways, that's the thing too. We didn't even talk about that. Dude, all these overruns, and like, they're paying out of pocket for all that, right? And I said, the all-in, Tony Khan said that the all-in gate was 6 million, which sort of checks out as far as, because he was saying at 45,000 tickets sold, it was like 5 million or whatever. And then the turnstile number, I don't know. I don't even want to play all those games this year again. But anyways, he's saying 6 million, but the Bucks are talking about they got NBA level contracts. So I always say that's like one Young Bucks salary, so they don't make money off that. We're not even talking about the overruns. They're throwing money into that. So maybe that's why maybe WBD is actually looking at these guys the way the wrestlers are, like, yeah, we're hustling money off of this Tony Khan guy. At least we're taking some off the top of everything. Now we're going to get some of that pay-per-view. And if they go get a deal with the Shockwave thing, we're going to take some off the top of that. And we're just peeling off the top a little bit, and because we can funnel money off these. Because a lot of people want to say it's a money laundering thing. I don't want to go that far and ever accuse or say that. I don't see why it'd be that. But it is like, I could totally see WBD being like, yeah, we'll just own 20% and just peel a bit off the top. And as long as they give us a little bit of money, we're cool.
Have you ever seen Once Upon a Time in America?
I believe so, yeah.
Well, Tony Khan is that girl in it, the slut that will let the boys have sex with her as long as they bring her a cake.
Oh, yeah, with De Niro, yeah.
Yeah, like Tony Khan he's being used, and I'm glad that he is, because he just seems like an unlikable guy.
You think Tony Khan? See, here's the thing. I think I would party with Tony Khan. Like, I'd crush like 100 White Claws, stay up with him all night, dude. It'd be fun. But I don't know. As far as like his creativity and all that, I just think he's spread too thin. Like Vince McMahon was. I think he's just doing so much, and he's in over his head and everything. I bet you in the football world, he's laughed at. Well, he actually is, because in the European football, soccer, I've covered it. They laugh at him. Like we played this clip with this Fulham podcast, these podcast guys, and they start talking about Tony Khan and the AEW side of things and how he's doing too much. And, Jacksonville Jaguars. I know a lot of people go, oh, why like other sports don't care about attendance and all that stuff. That's the Jaguars themselves too, to bring it to relate it to Tony Khan. There wasn't people attending their games, man, and they were tarping sections, and they get criticized for it. And they were wondering why the NFL, like, they weren't being picked up to have their games broadcast and stuff like that. And it was because their attendances were low. It happened in hockey with Nashville. I can bring up 100 things, but it's just funny how Fulham seems to be in over their heads. The Jaguars are having struggles with attendance. And then you have AEW's hurting, and there's one dude floating around doing all this stuff spread way too thin, and that's my opinion on it.
Fulham is massively in debt, and nothing's and again, it all goes back to they can afford to be in debt, which is a shame. That because in the real world, people have to learn from their mistakes, but the cons get to just keep failing.
Oh man, it's
the best guys, Tony Khan.
So Booker T, though, he's like, look, man, swerve before I say anything. Hell of a talent. The kid's incredible. I can't do a Booker T. He can do anything in the middle of that squared circle, dog. Extraordinary talent. Now tell me he did not just say that. I don't got a Booker T. It's just something that maybe he wants to get off his bucket list, going out and having these kind of matches. Perhaps one thing about these kind of matches, it's a young man's game. You better get them out of the way quick. I don't know, man. Booker T, he just wants to be like, man, that. But at the bottom, he just says, he's like, dude, I grew up around in the hood, like, needles have a weird thing with me, so that's weird to do. You got to think about that. And Matt Hardy said the same thing. The sickos went after him.